Hello friends, this is Sai Fanindra from SQL School, and today let's understand how to perform database migrations using an important and easy to use tool, DMA, Data Migration Assistant. Come on, let's start. Why we require it? Well, let's take a small scenario. I'll take you to my SSMS tool, SQL Server Management Studio, and I would be connecting to two different servers, a 2008 R2 server and a 2016 server, 10.5, 10.5 and 13.0. My requirement, I got some database and of size some 10 or 12 GB, about some 12 GB space, and this 12 GB database has to be 12 gig database has to be migrated from one version to another version. And the next requirement would be the same database to be migrated to my cloud. I got a cloud, an SQL Server, SQL Azure cloud, SQL School Database.windows.net. This is my cloud web address, and I would like to get the database to be migrated to cloud. Yes, either SQL Server to SQL Server on-premise or SQL Server to cloud, on-premise to cloud, we can make use of this database migration tool. I mean, let me just put this in a small diagrammatic format. And before I take it to the diagram, I'll just make sure I log into my cloud account. And yep, this is my web address. SQL School Database.windows.net is my website address, the cloud account address. I'll go to the cloud account and next. So SQL School is my web admin, and I go to my database and verify the server. Yes, the server is SQL School.database.windows.net. This is my Azure account, and I got my username and password. Friends, our requirement, you got database 2008 and two different migrations. One is on-premise to on-premise and the other one on-premise to cloud. Come on, let's understand how to perform this operation. So here it is, friends. The SQL Server Database Migration plan includes on-premise to DMA tool, DMA to SQL Server, or DMA to cloud. Again, in cloud, the database can be directly in SQL Azure, or database can be hosted in a Azure virtual machine, Azure VM. I repeat, inside Azure we got two different options to host the server, to host your SQL Server database. One is directly into Azure database, Azure SQL, and the other one is in a Azure VM, virtual machine. That virtual machine can be back to my Azure account, either SQL database directly or in a Azure virtual machine. Inside the virtual machine, we can host the databases inside either Cloudera or Windows Server or Linux or Ubuntu or any other type of VM, virtual machine. Let's understand how it works. Let's understand how to get this diagrammatic representation to be implemented. Let's start now. Well, so for this purpose, what I do is I'll go to the Microsoft website and download Data Migration Assistant. Just go to Microsoft site and search for Data Migration Assistant. Download, and it's getting downloaded now. Once you get it downloaded, 13.9 MB file, click and it would start the installation. Just give a click. It would start the installation. It hardly takes few moments, and once the installation completes, let's wait. The installation started. Accept the licensing agreements and start to install. Once the installation is complete, launch Microsoft Data Migration Assistant. Finish. So this would be launching one migration assistant tool. So let's wait. Let's wait. This would be launching one migration assistant tool. Yes, you got the tool ready. Friends, here we need to select the plus symbol. Of course, we generally perform this migration during off-peak hours, non-business hours, and it is recommended to establish a downtime, get a backup of the database, a healthy backup of the database, and then proceed with either assessment or migration. Our agenda for today's session, migration. I would say SQL DB migration to on-premise. Source SQL Server. Target for now SQL Server. Remember, there are three options: SQL Server, Azure SQL Database, or SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machine, either Ubuntu or Linux or SQL Server. For now, select SQL Server to SQL Server, create. I mean my diagram, SQL Server to SQL Server. Of course, 2008 or 2008 R2 to 2014 or 16, lower to higher version. Provide the server name. The source server name is 2008 server. I am using my Windows authentication for now. And destination is 2016. I would say next. Once you get the authentication for source and target servers, add databases, one or more databases. Provide a backup location. The backup location can be a network location. For example, I would give some valid network location. You can also have a mirrored backup. Hope you are aware of backup mirroring and mirrored backups. Multi-location, standby, high available backups. For now, I'll go for a backup location and leave this target paths as it is. Or you can change the locations. And next, select the logins you would like to transfer. In my case, all servers, both source and destination servers, are in the same Active Directory, and for many reasons, say I would like to ignore the login transfer right now because same logins are available on both source and destination servers. And migration starts. It's in progress. Internally, this data migration assistant tool uses backup restore process. So it backups the 12 GB database in my case and restore it onto the destination server. That's how it takes. Let's give some time let the migration complete or let the migration go on. In the meantime, I would launch again the tool called Migration Assistant. Once again, I will launch the tool called Migration Assistant. Just launch the tool for Migration Assistant, and this time I would be selecting a new project. Well, so right now we are understanding on-premise to on-premise, lower to higher version migration. Next we will be understanding about on-premise database to cloud database. I mean the second arrow mark. Well, let the migration go on. In the meantime, I launch another window of Migration Assistant. Let's wait. Let it go on. In the meantime, it's not opening a new window, so I'll just continue the existing window. Let the migration go on. In the meantime, click on plus symbol. Migration for project, but it says we can run only one migration at a time. So you have to run this second migration after you complete the first migration. In the meantime, I'll continue to specify some name. I'll say here SQL, say migration to cloud, server, Azure, and migration. Do you want to migrate the schema only, data only, or schema and data? I'll select schema and data. I'll be selecting this option. I repeat, if it is cloud, let the other migration go on. In the meantime, if it is cloud, well, server type is SQL Server and target would be the Azure SQL Database. Schema only, structure, data only, only the data if schema structure already exists, or schema and data. The create option is disabled because of this small friendly warning. So let the current migration proceed, then we shall be starting the second one, the SQL to Azure migration. So let me just pause here for a few moments and we shall resume once the other migration activity is successfully verified. Let's wait. Well, the migration is successful in some 4 minutes. We shall verify it anyway. You can quickly verify it by going to this SSMS and destination, and here it is sqlschool.com db1. So the database on the source is given to the destination. Well, and the migration successful, and you can do some post migration activities like changing the compatibility level. Right click database properties, go to options, change the compatibility level from 2008 to 2016, and you also need to update the statistics. So run a maintenance plan and update the statistics for your newly migrated database. That is one step, friends. That is from on-premise green box to on-premise green box. Other one is cloud. For that reason, I got the source, destination Azure. If it is SQL, straight backup, restore. If it is Azure, you got the option schema and data. Create, say create, provide the server. For example, my 2016 server has to be given to cloud, and connect. I'll select my relevant database, any database of your choice, Say next. So select the relevant database. See there, friends, the environment completely changes. You got a nice option to select the required database. One thing, If we observe carefully, previously we got checkbox selecting multiple databases. Of course, I selected only one. Here you got radio button, any one database. One more thing, system databases cannot be migrated. Select the required database, next, and then you provide the relevant target server. My target server is already authenticated. The target server is SQL School Database.windows.net. This is a database name. Sorry, the server name. Provide the relevant server name. And next, I'll be using my SQL authentication. I'm already having one account for SQL authentication, and I would be choosing to provide the SQL authentication and the relevant password. So whatever cloud account you have, you select the relevant cloud server name, SQL School.database.windows.net, username, password. Once you select the required server name, database name, password, say connect. Click on connect and see friends, I already got one database with me, product DB cloud. This database is already available here. SQL database, product DB cloud. It is available on my cloud account and it got connected. Once I select the relevant database, the assessment of source database, assessment means checking for the groundwork, checking for the feasibility study will be taking place right now. Let's hold on, let's wait. It may take some time depending on the size of the database. Let's wait for some time. Well, so now I got the relevant objects. Just to make it simple, I got a small database table and view. In the earlier example, I got a 12 gig database. But now I made it simple because we need to generate the script and run the script. Of course, automated. It would take some time. So select the required tables and our views, say generate SQL script. You got the scripts. Friends, earlier backup restore on-premise to on-premise. Faster. Comparatively, the migration to cloud involves all the script operations here. You may save the script or just copy the script and say deploy schema. Once you deploy the schema, structure is deployed. Now we have to migrate the data also. Start data migration. Start data migration, and the migration is complete. So the required relevant tables are migrated to cloud. That's how we do. Yes, in olden days, to perform migration of SQL Server, SSDB, SQL Server Databases to cloud, we used to right click database, tasks, data tier applications. We used to get backpack files, BAC, PAC files, and then deploy to Azure. Now, we got a nice simplified data migration assistant. And it is successful now. So this way, we can make use of migration assistant DMA tool from on-premise to on-premise or on-premise to cloud. Remember, here it is backup restore process and the other one is schema generation, script and run the script. Of course, automated process. With this, we'll stop for now. If in case of any clarifications or in case of any understanding issues, Please do reach us and you can contact us anytime. With this information, we stop for now. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice time.